Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It's funny. I never really thought of myself as a vlogger. There's people that go on and they just talk about their lives and let you into their lives. But I suppose, like over time, this channel has become more and more about my personal history or evolution in gaming, and how are my views being challenged? What am I doing next? All that sort of thing. So whether it's interesting to you or not, I don't know. But anyhow, let's get on with it. Today I want to talk to you about system mastery, or the magical threshold. That's something I just made up. So I read a couple blog posts today, last couple days, by Runeslinger, on his blog. Hopefully I'll link them on WordPress. And one was on "You're Doing It Wrong," and something I guess he wrote a year ago and meant to post and never did. And another one on I think something like "Buddha was not a role player." It's on attachment. And in fact, he actually linked posted another one, or linked another one on Facebook to another blogger, similarly about attachment. Both of those were really cool. But all that kind of got me thinking a little bit as I look at my I don't want to say struggle because that's the wrong word, but challenges learning some new systems. And not just learning them. Like I can read a system and pretty much get it. I've had to ask a few questions about some things that were a little bit more opaque in some of the books, because that's also a peril if you know a game really well, the curse of knowledge. If you're a game designer or an enthusiast of the game, there are some parts that are a little more opaque, and it can be easy to just say, "Oh yeah, how could you not get that?" And then realize it might be written a little bit dense, here or there. That could be missing a couple of keywords that would really, really help. So I found a couple of those. But anyhow, as I've been delving deeper into things like Ubiquity and what have you. I'm still waiting to play this enough with people where I cross over that magical threshold to the point where I have a really, really intuitive understanding of the game on like a visceral level. And what I mean by that is this, like, if I play something like Lamentations of the Flame Princess, well, Lamentations of the Flame Princess is, for the most part, it's BXD&D. It's got a couple rules that have made the game even slicker, but it's the game I learned in 1981. And I have a certain amount of attachment to those OSR games because, there's part of it that's nostalgia, I won't lie. There's part of it because I just like the way they work. But they become very, very comfortable. Well, those blogs talked about things like old starships. I think actually one of them talked about the Serenity and, that old Firefly junk freighter that people loved. And even things like the Millennium Falcon, with pizza crap, but it was just people got very attached to it. I was thinking about my 1988 Honda Civic Wagovan, ugliest thing they ever made, but I had a super attachment to that car, and I still dream about my 1972 Le Mans, and that thing, I crashed that thing, not my fault, years ago, but I still think about that car because I had a profound attachment to it. And we can have profound attachments to games and to systems that we feel very comfortable with. And part of that, though, is the other blog he talked about, or he wrote about, "You're Doing It Wrong." And it's about mistakes. And for me, this is a look into my psyche, which I'd rather not share, but, it's part of, what I deal with, and I'm working on now in a variety of areas in my life, is my uncomfortability with doing things wrong, with making mistakes. I don't particularly like that, and it goes way back to my childhood. And I'm gonna go. That's more time on the couch than you really want to see me do. But the idea is, I don't like that. I'm very, very uncomfortable not having mastery of something. I don't like making mistakes, and so you put those kind of two things together, and those can be impediments for me, at least. And I imagine there probably are some impediments for some other people in taking the time to really learn new games or new whatever. But this is a channel where I mostly talk about role-playing games, so go with it. So, those two things, my uncomfortability with making mistakes, my uncomfortability with not really knowing everything, and then the attachment I had to some other games. And, part of the deal, though, is I pick up those old games. I think I was talking mostly about that. I think I made my point. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I went off on a tangent. But I pick up something like Lamentations of the Flame Princess, basic fantasy role-playing game, Astonishing Swordsman. I can play those games blindfolded. Maybe there's a couple rules that are a little bit different there, but I might check something one time. But I'm very, very comfortable. No matter what somebody throws at me, I'm good. If I have to make up a modifier on the spot, I have enough of a feel for those systems that I know I'm going to be right in the ballpark. And, I won't worry about it. I know how things work very, very well. So, and if I make a mistake in a game like that, it's going to be a really little one. It's going to be inconsequential. And I'm waiting to cross that magic threshold in something like Ubiquity, where I have that same kind of feel. Maybe not the exact level of mastery, but a real intuitive gut level of mastery, where I just know how the darn thing works, and I'm not. I feel very confident. And once again, if I make a mistake, it's going to be a little one, and I can live with it. where sometimes, I still have that level of uncomfortability or not 100% grokking all the rules, or keeping them all straight in my head without having to go look. Where I haven't crossed that magical threshold where it becomes a part of me. So yeah, part of it's a comfortability and attachment. Part of it's not wanting to or being uncomfortable with making those mistakes and not having that really intuitive knowledge. I don't know about you, but I can read the new book, and I'll understand all of it. But will I remember all those rules, and subsystems and nuances come game time? Sounds like we're talking about the NFL. It's game time. No, I have to look them up. Will I do that with the older games I'm used to? Heck yeah. It's because I did them more. And when I was a kid, I had a lot more time to stare at the rule books for a long time. So, I don't know if any of that really resonated with you, whether you can relate to any of that sort of stuff. But anyhow, channel about me, so what do you want? Have a good one, and talk to you soon.